Country Club in Wayland, Massachusetts was built in 1920 as a 9-hole golf course. In the early 1950s, an additional 9 holes were added. The first 9 holes are credited to a Mr. Barber. This Mr. Barber character sold the course to Phil Farina. Phil Farina and a businessman named Edward Quirk started what is now known as Wayland Country Club. The duo then built the second 9 holes to create an 18-hole golf course. The 9-hole course was so popular that when the 18-hole course opened, golf legend Patty Berg was on hand. Local pro Jim Ternessa carded the first score. He shot a 70. Wayland is a par 70 and it measures 6,002 yards from the tips. The white tees are 5,461 yards. To play Wayland during the weekday, it's $53 to walk, $38 for juniors and seniors. Juniors are under 18, seniors are 60 plus. Weekend rounds cost $63 to walk. If you want to ride a cart, it's $20 to share with someone, and I believe it is $24 if you are riding in a cart by yourself. Junior memberships are $600 for the entire year. That explains why I tend to see a lot of juniors and high school kids playing golf at Wayland. Wayland Country Club could best be described as small. It has a number of short par 4s, some of which are drivable. The land is pretty flat and it's an easy walk and a great option for new golfers, as there aren't many forced carries or uneven lies. In the summer of 1961, Nick Cerconi Jr. recorded a hole-in-one on the par 4 7th hole twice. First on June 30th, and then again on August 16th. Kind of a cool little nugget about the golf course and just a little bit more history. But there are a number of short par 4s where making a hole-in-one isn't really out of the question, and the 7th is definitely the most likely of that bunch. Wayland is incredibly playable with clear requirements. Hit it straight and shoot a good score. The set of 5 par 3s are pretty good, considering it's a short course. Players will hit a variety of irons into those 5 holes. The 4th is a cool downhill hole with the most bold bunkering on the course. It's also one of the only shots that you're hitting uphill or downhill over the course of the 18 holes. The par 3 17th is a bear at a 200 yards plus, and it's got a tiny green. They just recently removed a tree on the right, which makes the hole a little easier because that tree used to block a lot of shots that maybe missed a little bit right and wouldn't hit the green. The routing is also just really nicely built for a 12-hole or 15-hole round, thinking about beginners or people who might not have time to play 18 holes. Of course, you're still paying the full rate, but if you're a junior or senior paying $38, or a junior who has a membership, 12 and 15-hole rounds are really great. With all of those things being said, the course is packed into a small area, and that can make it so that golf balls are on wrong holes, on wrong fairways, which sometimes can impact pace of play. It can also just make things feel a little bit dangerous. There's some greens that are very close to tee boxes, and you could get hit. You could have a ball rattle through the trees and hit you. Just a tight piece of property, a rather short course where there are par 4s where people might be tempted to hit driver. You could be in some danger zones or sharing fairways with other people. If you're looking for fast greens, Wayland Country Club is not really the place for you either. It's pretty flat. It's near wetlands. The greens are not super fast for some of those reasons. Balls are not going to bound onto greens either. But it is relatively lush because of the surrounding areas, and the greens roll nicely. They're just going to be typically a little bit slower. They're also pretty flat and round, so not a ton of interest there, but they are hard to hit because they are so small, so it does require some accuracy with your iron shots and your approach shots. Favorite hole on the golf course is the 3rd hole. It's 400 yards. It's a par 4 dogleg right. It's a challenging tee shot, probably the hardest, most intimidating one on the course. You play 1 and 2, you come back towards the clubhouse, and so it's in kind of a central location. You probably have to hit driver. There's water on the right that will basically catch anything that is wipey, or for a lefty, a little bit of a hook or moving to the right. The water's going to catch it. Along the left, you have the 15th hole with some trees just protecting you there. So you can miss a little left, but then you're dealing with some trees. And then the approach shot and the green is probably the most interesting on the course. It's really the only uphill shot, only perched green kind of up on a hill that you're hitting to. There's some short grass on the left, a little collection area, which I find charming and different than what is on the rest of the golf course for the most part. So just a really good, challenging hole after a pretty gentle handshake. One is a pretty straightforward par 5. I'm sure there's a lot of birdies on that hole and pars to start the round. Then 2 comes right back adjacent to the first hole, and then the third is really where the round feels like, oh, you've got to hit driver, you've got to hit it accurately, and try to make par. So the third hole is definitely my favorite of the bunch. Wayland has some cool history. It's a pretty laid back vibe, and just the setting is pretty relaxed. You can go and show up as a single and get out pretty easily from what I've seen and what I've experienced. And you should definitely check it out. It's a place to go if you have a new golfer in your life or you're trying to get someone into the game. Certainly a nice place to go, non-threatening, straightforward, flat holes, straightforward holes, not a lot of blind shots. It can get a little tight, but when you're playing with beginners, that's usually the last thing that they're worried about is missing big right and big left. They're typically just trying to get the ball to go straight ahead of them a little bit and just keep the ball moving forward. So Wayland is a great place for beginners. It's also a great place if you're just looking to dial in your game or you're struggling a little bit with your game and you're a better player. It's a nice slump buster. You can maybe get out of a rut and go try to shoot a number, because there are so many short holes, reachable par 5s, reachable par 4s, some gettable holes, definitely a bunch of birdies out there. So Wayland Country Club, a course with some interesting history, a place that beginners can play, a place that good golfers and veterans can go play and try to shoot a score, a place for everyone to go play golf. And in that part of the state, there aren't a ton of spots like that. Whether you're a beginner, you're an experienced veteran, it is worth trying out and playing golf at Wayland Country Club.